So we are during the Olympiad, the 45th Olympiad, playing in Hungary, and I would like to share with you how I select the games to watch and what I generally like to watch. First of all, I believe there are some interesting ways to see the games. For example, you can say to the database, I want to see only the games that are 25 moves or less, with a win from one of the two sides. And this practically gave me a list of all the miniatures played in this 45th Olympiad, and so it's kind of very interesting. Then, of course, I can also ask some other things to the database, right? You can make different queries. For example, I made a query where there were a win for one side or the other, and there were at least 400 points or more as difference. Why this? Because that is called the David versus Goliath. No? When for example, you will find games in which a 1900 player was able to beat a 2500, a GM. And so also those kind of games are interesting. But it is interesting also the contrary, when the GM beats the lower rated player. Why? Because you can see the difference in style, what are the mistakes, and so on. However, for this first couple of games, I would like to show you two miniatures. One played in round 1 of the Olympiad and also the other in round 1. The interesting thing is that the PGN file has all the clock time. So practically all the time that each player took for playing each move. For example, the following game is played between Sigurov Sanan against Chavez Ricardo Ernesto. Sigurov is a grandmaster, 2644, and Chavez is probably a FIDE master level because it's 2185. I will show it to you from the white side, so I will change the table. Okay, so Sigurov began with one e4, a common move, and Chavez c5. Now the interesting part already is the following, that Sigurov for one e4 took 7 seconds, for c5 black took 1 minute and 3 seconds. Knight f3, e6, sorry, d4. This is again very strange. Why? Because the grandmaster took 5 minutes to play this move. And honestly, it doesn't make any sense to spend 5 minutes on a move like d4, right? Because it's theory. It's really more theory than that, I don't know. C takes d4, knight takes d4, a6, bishop d3. This bishop d3 took 53 seconds, kind of interesting. Knight f6, castle, 43 seconds for this move, and queen c7, 26 seconds. So it seems black at the moment is knowing more theory than the grandmaster. Now, next move takes 1 minute and 32 seconds. Queen e2, d6, c4. This is kind of interesting, because at this point this is a kind of Maroczy bind, right? He's trying to fight for d5, and it took 1 minute and 17 seconds for this move, so maybe maybe is trying to muddle the waters, right? G6, and can you imagine 2 minutes for the next move by white? I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. Knight c3, boom. Bishop g7, knight f3, 50 seconds for this move. Castle, rook d1, knight c6. This knight c6, black took 2 minutes to play it. Probably by this point we are outside of theory, right? Bishop f4, 1 minute and 41 seconds. And now for the next move, black takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The time control was 90 minutes plus 30 seconds for each move for the first 40 moves. Then you have to finish the game in 30 minutes, and once more you have 30 seconds increment for each move, because if I remember well, FIDE thought that 30 seconds are enough to let you write your moves. So that's why they give you those 40 seconds, okay? Okay, so we were saying that black took 5 minutes for this move, and this move is knight g4. Next move by white is 11 minutes. 11 minutes. Queen d2. Knight g e5, it makes sense, but in any case it took 5 minutes again to play it. Now white decides that he doesn't want to lose the bishop pair, and so it took him 2 minutes to decide that and play bishop e2. Knight takes f3 is 2 minutes and 27. Bishop takes f3, 9 seconds. Okay, luckily he was able to decide fast on this move. Once more, now black takes 5 minutes and 48 seconds, which means 6 minutes, to play knight d4. And once more, white tries to avoid, he's not trying to avoid to exchange the bishop, because you cannot really escape here. The problem is that he tries to avoid to have double pawns, right? So he plays bishop e2. And now there is what I consider the mistake in this game, because black is convinced that through a series of exchange he will gain some material. Unfortunately, his rationale is totally wrong. So what happens is that it takes 13 minutes, nearly 14 minutes, to play knight takes e2. At this point, it's possible that the Grandmaster understood where black wants to go, and so he didn't take with this, but he took with this. Queen takes e2. And it took him only 1 minute and 26 seconds. At this point, black blundered, and it took him 3 minutes and 17 seconds to blunder. He plays bishop takes c3. What is the mistake here? The mistake here is that he wants to double the pawns and maybe try to save this with rook d8. But this formation of weak squares, once you lose this, it's really bad and dangerous. In fact, it seems that black didn't analyze well enough the typical answer by a Grandmaster, which is to react to an attack with another attack. So he took this, generally Grandmaster takes something else, but he doesn't take back where the opponent wants. Generally they never do that. I notice that thing that happens over and over. Now the problem is that he's attacking the Queen c7 and the Rook f8. So Black decides after 7 minutes to play this move, Queen b6. But 7 minutes, why is not good? Because it means that before taking on c3, he didn't consider this thing. Otherwise, he should have played right away this move. Instead, 7 minutes means that he wasn't prepared to go in this kind of line. And that's kind of very, very interesting, and that's why you want to watch these games with the timestamps. Because once you watch the games with the timestamps, it opens your eyes to what happened. So remember, this was a blunder, practically, and why it's a blunder, now I prove it to you. White plays bishop takes f8, and you say, haha, well, it's not good, right? Queen takes b2, haha. And now you're going to lose this, or you have to exchange, and I still attack that, right? But again, here it's a mistake in the analysis. It took him 3 minutes to play Queen takes b2, and after Queen takes b2, Bishop takes b2. Now, pause and tell me what you would play as White, because this is what the Grandmaster saw and made him think I won the game. No? While Black didn't go this far. Now this far, however, it's 4 moves, so it's a kind of, because it started everything with Knight takes e2 and then Bishop takes e3, right? Everything started there, so this was 4 moves. It's kind of very deep in a sense, but we saw that he didn't calculate Bishop takes e6. So what would you play now if you were White? Obviously, you need to know checkmate patterns. If you know checkmate patterns, this is kind of clear, right? Boom! Why? Because if he plays this, it's checkmate. That's the reality of it, no? So what does he play? He plays bishop f6, no? Thinking, aha, I attack this, so you cannot play this, and I still keep attacking that. But the Grandmaster played rook e8. At this point, Black knows that he cannot block the checkmate like this. So what does he do? He tries to make an escape route, no, f2, for the king, no? But there is this move, right? And when you do this, oops, and now what would you do if you were White? Notice this is move 25 and the game ends right after. Obviously the move is rook d1. Why, you say? Because this is out of the game. This cannot be moved, otherwise you lose the rook. And now White will double and take everything. So that's why Black lost the game. Now, let's see the next miniature by Yu Yang against Araujo, Sanchez, Josué. Let's see. Okay, so Yu Yang is obviously from China, and he plays e4. And now we see a very strange thing. That's why I tell you at timestamps that it seems also David Bronstein, a Grandmaster, the famous in the 1950s for challenging between it for the World Championship. He said the timestamps is the most important thing. In that time they didn't have a digital board, so they had to write it by hand. But imagine c6. Okay, this is the Caro-Kann defense. Yet, black took 3 minutes to play this move. This doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. Or you are prepared or you are not prepared. If you are not prepared to try to mix it up over the board against the Grandmaster, I don't think it's a good idea. So after d4, black plays a6, and it took him 2 minutes and 32 seconds to play a6. Obviously the move here is d5, so black is trying to say, hey, let's avoid a theoretical contest because I know that you are going to beat me. The problem is that this kind of move is not doing anything for black, but he still scared a little the Grandmaster, because for the next move the Grandmaster takes 1 minute and 33 seconds, knight d2. At this point, finally, black thinks that he's returning back in theory and takes only 21 seconds to play d5, e5, and now again black is trying to muddle the water, to change the thing, you know. What does he do? He does c5, and this is kind of very interesting, because now for this c5 it took like 50 seconds, nearly 1 minute, but the next move by the Grandmaster is 4 minutes and 11 seconds. And you say, why 4 minutes and 11 seconds? Because he plays knight gf3, and he thinks that now black needs to decide if he wants to enter into a French or do something else. So that's kind of interesting, you see. It took him 4 minutes and 11 seconds. But at this point also black doesn't know in which kind of opening he wants to enter. Why do I say that? Because for this move it took 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Now there is a problem here. It's going to be a problem, the pressure that black can create. So the Grandmaster says, okay, let's see what you do, because now you need to enter in the French, right? And he's asking the question to black, are you entering the French? Are you entering the French with this d takes c5? But black doesn't want to enter the French. That's why he played the Caro-Kann. He wants to develop that bishop, right? The problem is that that bishop is easily kicked away. How? Well, now the Grandmaster takes this Chinese Grandmaster that is famous, and by the way is a 2700. 2700. He's practically a god of chess, right? Well, it takes 5 minutes and 34 seconds to play this h3. Black at this point has a decision to make. What is he gonna do? Is he playing in Caro-Kann style? Or is he going to take? Or is he going here? What is he going to do? No? Well, to decide took him 3 minutes and 27 seconds, and he took on f3. Knight takes f3. Can you believe it? How long it took to take this move? 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's crazy, right? And at this point, black finally enters the French, now that it doesn't have the light square bishop, the famous bad light square bishop of the French defense. So he enters the French, also if it's not a French anymore. At this point, white needs to decide what to do with this, and he decides to develop a piece and protect that. Queen c7, just 21 seconds, c3, 1 minute and 33 seconds, and at this point, black needs to think for more than 6 minutes. Can you imagine why? For more than 6 minutes? Because obviously he says, well, why he didn't defend that, right? Should I take or not? It's a mistake to take or not? Well, knight takes c5, knight takes c5, and queen takes c5. It's made in just 7 seconds, okay? But the real problem at this point is that he doesn't have that bad bishop that generally is useful in the French advance, because avoid that the king can be attacked by a queen. And the queen attacks immediately with queen a4. For this move, white took 1 minute and 57 seconds. Now, the ridiculous thing is that black took like 1 minute and 22 seconds to play this. But what can you actually do? Because the queen is out of play. And as you can see, white has also something like this once he has removed the king, right? So, well, it's kind of interesting. The situation is interesting. However, black took 1 minute and 22 seconds to play the so-called only move, because if you play this, it's this, and it's even worse. So that's not possible, right? At this point you want to ask yourself if you want to play that. I don't think it's a good idea. Also, if obviously I didn't even calculate anything. But why? Because it's blocking everything. This move is blocking everything. Apart that, also losing the castling is not a good idea, especially in this kind of range. So, after 1 minute 22, black played king d8. And here, believe it or not, the grandmaster took 16 minutes. 16 minutes for the next move. Boom! And black played queen c7, 35 seconds, b4, 2 minutes and 5, knight e7, and as you can see, black is behind in development, black has a king in the center, black seems he's gonna lose. c4, queen c6 took 6 minutes and 20 seconds. Obviously, the thing is that white shouldn't want to exchange. Yet, in order to find the right move, Yu Yang Yi took more than 5 minutes and he played queen a5, king c8. It would have been interesting to see what he would have done about this. Just a curiosity, I think, yeah. So king c8 took black 4 minutes. Now, interesting, bishop e2 took 7 minutes. And then it's followed by g6. Why g6? Because he wants to develop on the long diagonal. Okay, so let's see how the game continues. By the way, g6 took 8 minutes and 37 seconds, and we are at move 18. Bishop f3. Now the situation starts to become incandescent, but it took 3 minutes and 36 seconds to answer. Bishop g7, 1 minute to answer the previous white move. Rook h e1, and now definitely white has a kind of advantage in development, because Is rook are connected, these are disconnected. That's a fact. So that's kind of important because once more there are some checkmate threats that white is trying to achieve. Obviously, the super GM is able to see this through because surely he has played something similar in the past, right? But let's see what happens, okay? So after let's see, bishop g7, rook h e1. Now black took 7 minutes and 49 seconds, so practically 8 minutes to play this move, rook d8. Bishop f4, things start to get scary because if you remove this, it's checkmate here. Notice it took 3 minutes to play this bishop f4. Bishop f6, 6 minutes and 44. C takes d5, and takes d5, knight takes d5. And here there is a final move, which is a win for white. This final move took only 36 seconds to be played. What is it? It's rook takes d5. Boom! Incredible, right? Incredible. Now, he cannot take with a queen because checkmate, right? So he cannot do that. Can he do this? Probably no, not a good idea. Why? Because of this. Bishop g4. As you can see, this is blocked, so I cannot do that. And this is attacking directly with the other that block the thing. So at this point you have to lose material in order to do what? In order to avoid a possible checkmate. So obviously at this point black has lost because of this move, right? He cannot escape. He probably can do this, but again, who cares? It's game over, right? This is pin, so yeah. As you can see, it's game over. I hope you enjoyed these two miniatures from the 45th Olympiad. They are beautiful games, I think, and we will see more of them in the future.